Good morning, everyone. In today's video, we are going to discuss the potential for another weekend winter storm. Some of you have been asking us our thoughts and opinions regarding this winter storm, so we're going to give you a brief and very early look at this potential storm for the weekend. Before we dig into the details, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are almost approaching 3,000 subscribers, so if we could hit that 3,000 by the end of this week, that would be awesome. Starting off here looking at the European model, we are going to look at the precip map here. And what we're dealing with for the end of the week is an upper level low system that really kind of just meanders around the southeast areas of the United States and kind of just sits and spins for a couple days. Now, for those that are watching from our central part of the United States, there's a big difference between the model data right now, suggesting if the Missouri and Illinois and Iowa and these areas, if they see a decent amount of snow from the system. Right now the European and you'll see eventually the Canadian model are much more aggressive with the snowfall out in this area. But I know many of you are watching from our Facebook page, and right now it does look like some kind of winter storm will impact the weekend weather, and once again it looks like it will impact Saturday rather than Sunday. But here we're going to take the European model out here to Friday night. So we have our upper level low here. It's really situated over western Kentucky, southern Illinois, southern Indiana here. And eventually, as we take this out to, this is now Friday night, rain is beginning to enter parts of southwestern PA and much of the mid-Atlantic. The mountains are starting to change over to some snow. And this upper level low is beginning to transfer its energy to more of a coastal low as it gets closer to the mid-Atlantic states here into Friday night. Now, what stinks for the winter lovers out there, the snow lovers I should say, despite being into the last week of January we would be in, there's really not much cold air to work with. This system's going to have to generate its own cold air, which just makes for a big time headache for us forecasters out there. So if you're seeing anything put on social media about, a major winter storm's going to certainly impact the Pennsylvania or whatever area you're watching from, take it for a grain of salt right now, because these model data will change run by run. And truthfully, we really won't have a good idea of what's going to actually occur until likely Thursday at the earliest. For the followers out there on our Facebook page, we'll probably post, assuming everything maintains itself, we'll most likely have a scenario map out Wednesday evening, but we will not have specific amounts out until Thursday. With this previous storm, many people were suggesting that this last weekend storm would actually be a big snowstorm, which in fact turned out to be a light event at most. And really, the reliable sources out there, we weren't really talking about a big storm 4 or 5 days in advance. We were more just, discussing the potential and not really putting out numbers until a couple days leading up. This is a very similar scenario here. A lot can change with this system, but let's take a look here. We're going to advance this further out here to early Saturday morning. This is 4 a.m. Saturday morning. Now, snow is breaking out according to the European model over central part of the Pennsylvania area and western PA. But notice all the rain. So really, you just have to be in the heavier bands and in the right part of the storm here to produce some snowfall for your area. Now, this will spread throughout much of central PA and western PA verbatim. Again, this is one particular model run, and this will likely change by this time tomorrow. So this is just looking at one run here, and again, this is a pretty substantial hit for much of PA, specifically central and western PA. And as we take this further out here too, this is now Saturday mid-morning. We're going to extend it to 1 p.m. Saturday here. Again, moderate to heavy snow for the interior parts of PA. Rain for the southeastern areas. The very early looks at this storm, this is going to favor interior locations. And right now it's favoring far interior locations, that is. So central, western PA, much of upstate New York right now. And then as you head in the northeast, things get a little bit more favorable because the temperatures are just colder up in this region for snowfall. Now for the areas that are watching east of us, east of our Facebook page, such as New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, right now it just looks like a rain event for you guys, as well as the big cities on the I-95. That includes Baltimore, D.C., Philly, and even New York City right now looks just to be a rain event. Again, things can change, but right now that's what it appears to be. So we're going to take it out here to, now this is 7 p.m. Saturday night. If the European does verify, and we'll show you the snow map in just a minute here, this would be a substantial hit for many of you that are watching. But again, things will change, and this is just taking one run and looking at what it produces verbatim. So now we're out to, this is now Sunday morning, and it's still hanging around for much of the interior northeast here. There's definitely a good widespread significant snowfall for much of the northeast, anywhere from the mountains of West Virginia and points north into the interior parts of Pennsylvania and much of the northeast. Even Boston gets in on the action here. So what does the snowfall map look like for the European model? Again, this is far from being a forecast. It's going to change without a doubt, but this is just what we're looking at right now. So again, the European model is really aggressive with snow totals out here in Iowa, northern Missouri, parts of Illinois, into Kansas here. Verbatim, it's a widespread 6 to 10 inches of snow with isolated higher amounts, and of course a little bit less to the north and south of the main bullseye area. And then it starts to produce some more snowfall for, again, the mountain areas of West Virginia, western Maryland, central and western PA, into northeast PA here, and again, much of the northeast. Now, a verbatim here, anywhere from 4 to 10 inches of snowfall across the northeast here. And according to this run, the area that jackpots is central PA, where over 10 inches of snowfall falls according to the European model. Again, just in the past couple runs, this bullseye area has wiggled 100 miles back and forth between western PA, central PA, upstate New York. Even there was even one run where it suggested that the bulk of the snow stayed south of Pennsylvania, and that's of course what snow actually falls. Much of the southeast of, say, I-78 in PA, Pennsylvania, south of the Pennsylvania Turnpike, much of those areas just remain more on the rainy side according to the European model. Now, taking a look at the American model, see, we have a bit of a different solution here. The American model is much less aggressive with the snow out in parts of the central United States. However, it's the same general concept. We have an upper level low, and it's much weaker than the European model. However, it does produce the mountain snow in West Virginia and parts of Virginia as well as western Maryland and much of central and western PA here. But again, like the European model, areas south of I-78 and as well as the Pennsylvania Turnpike, much of these areas do stay on the rainy side. This is valid for 4 a.m. Saturday morning. Now, I will say that the American model here is much more aggressive for eastern areas in Pennsylvania, as well as northwest New Jersey, and as well as eastern New York. It's much colder than what the European model is showing, but again, it's also weaker. So the snow totals, while they're still impressive for some local locations, it's not as widespread, and you'll see that here in a minute. Now, this is now 7 p.m. Saturday night. So still northeast PA, still seeing some snow. Good amount of snow's falling over eastern New York as well as northwest New Jersey. And parts of the interior northeast gets in on a decent amount of snowfall from the storm verbatim, or for the model from the model run verbatim. So again, it's the general same concept that this is a Saturday storm on the GFS. It's just a little bit weaker, but it still produces at least some wintry precipitation for someone in Pennsylvania and Northeast as well. The biggest difference between the GFS and the American model, or I'm sorry, the European model, is the snowfall that falls or doesn't fall across the central part of the United States. So the GFS snowfall map looks like this. There's a very significant swath of 6 to 12 inches and isolated higher amounts across the interior parts of the Northeast. This does extend into Northeast PA and Northwest New Jersey, but much of Pennsylvania just sees a light to moderate snow from this, and some of us don't even see barely any accumulations. Now look at the central part of the United States here, and there's far less accumulations compared to the European model. We'll do a quick comparison here. This is the GFS, or the American model, and then this is the European model. So you can see the difference here in the central part of the United States. That's your biggest difference. But again, this is the European model, and this is the American model. So if anyone tells you, oh, definitely 5 to 10 inches of snowfall is going to fall this weekend, they're not a reliable source at this point. This is just a very small example of what can change from run to run. We're far from the answer, but this is just possible solutions at this point in the game. And we'll quickly look at the Canadian model here. And the Canadian model is like the European model for the central part of the United States. Pretty good snowstorm, but again, the same concept here. We have an upper level low, and it eventually transfers this energy over to more of like a coastal low, and this does produce a significant amount of snow across central and western PA, like the European model suggests. Same areas pretty much see the rain south of I-78 and its Pennsylvania Turnpike, and of course coastal areas are also on the rainy side. And once again, this would be valid for Saturday at 10 p.m. So the Canadian here is a little bit slower, I would say, than the other models suggest. But regardless, a similar solution. Verbatim, it's a pretty significant central PA storm into New York here in the interior northeast. And looking at the Canadian snow map, and you can see there's a pretty good amount of snow across the central part of the United States, and a significant amount of snow across western PA and central PA. Upstate New York really gets hit well with the snow. So again, these are all different scenarios from each model run, so we really don't have a clear picture of what may happen this weekend. Again, we are still roughly 4 to 5 days away from the storm actually impacting most of us here in Pennsylvania and in the Northeast. So there's going to be many changes over the course of the coming days. We ask you to please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on our Facebook page if you don't already for the latest. We will have much more regarding this winter storm, this potential winter storm, over the course of the next couple days. And we will, of course, have more going into the future with future winter storms, severe weather, and the hurricane season. Alrighty, I hope you guys have a nice day.